when you're writing, do you try to take yourself out of your normal element? Or like you said, obviously during the pandemic, you were home, but do you have a certain like schedule? Like I like writing in the morning. I like writing. You do. Okay, what's your schedule like?
Sure. Well, first thing is I try to get lost.
Okay.
So in an ideal world, like with the 5 a.m. club,
Yeah.
I wrote it. I mean, those, I don't know if you've read the book, but
Yeah.
in the 5 a.m. club, it was there was Mauritius and there was Rome and a lot of those parts of the vineyard in South Africa.
Yeah.
I was actually in those places writing those chapters.
I love that.
So I'm a firm believer that you can't inspire if you're de-inspired. Yeah. And I also believe that we feel that inspiration when we force ourselves to get away from our routine and our home territory. And then if we go to beautiful places, whether it's Mauritius or Rome or wherever, those are the places that lift my spirit. Yeah. Then we we allow our brains to go into transient hypofrontality, flow state, and we connect with the secret orbit that geniuses have known, but we can know that as well. It's just often we don't get to the places we need to and create the routines that would allow us to inhabit that sense of possibility. Like we all have a brain that can shift from beta to alpha to theta. We all have a brain that can create flow. But as I say in the new book, to have the results only 5% of the population has, you've got to be willing to do what 95% of the population is unwilling to do. And so most of us, good souls, but we want the rewards of world class, but we're not willing to pay the price that world class requires. So one of the things when I write, I try to get away and I go dark. My team doesn't send me emails. I go dark. Yeah. I vanish.
Yeah.
I vanish, even if it's for 8 days or 10 days, I vanish.
I love
and
it.
Literally I turn off my phone for most of the day or sometimes 2 or 3 days. I start my day with some great coffee. I love to sunbathe for a little while. I might read Meditations of Marcus Aurelius or something philosophical. I love morning exercise, especially if I'm writing, it's gentler. So I'll go for a walk. If it's Rome, I'll go up to Villa Borghese. And then I have my 5 great hours rule that I talk about in the Everyday Hero Manifesto, which is very disruptive. But I lock myself away from the world for 5 hours and I do really intense, sweaty, serious, undistracted cognitive work. And I started like about 8 o'clock. And if I can get 4 or 5 hours or maybe 6 hours of flow state, creativity and work, I'm done. And then I leave my hotel room and I go for a walk and I take the rest of the day off. And I live that kind of a monastic life for weeks or 2 weeks at a time when I'm writing a book.
And has there ever been moments when you complete a book and then you just like, how many times do you go back and edit it or go back and change before you're like, when do you know in your soul is like, okay, I'm done? Like, is there always questions or do you always question yourself? Like, because you've written so many, you've written so many books, like, is there, as an author, is there moments where it's like, this is not ready yet? And it's like, even though you know it's done, you always have that question in your mind?
Well, I'm smiling because I'm really enjoying speaking with you. You're a great interviewer. You ask thoughtful questions. You listen, and it's probably because you're Canadian. Like I'm really enjoying it, and so I thank you for that. I forget who said it. I think it was the person who wrote a prayer for Owen Meany, the famous author.
Yeah,
John Irving. Anyway, it was John Irving, and I think he said, "I'm not a great writer. I'm a great editor." I thought that was very profound. And so the Everyday Hero Manifesto, I thought it was done in February of 2020 after those 16 days in Tribeca. I probably iterated it, polished it 20 to 30 times. I'm talking about the entire manuscript.
Yeah.
20 to 30 times. I mean, I can show you some of the pictures in the book that shows what the manuscript looks like if I can find it. But I think, you're here it is. So there's a chapter in the book called Kill Your Darlings. And that speaks to the fact that in any creative project, you've got to have the bravery and discipline to kill the things you think are amazing for the sake of making sure only the very best gets into the work. And I think that's a very powerful point. But there's I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
See all the writing on that
Yeah,
manuscript?
I love it. I love it.
Well, that was I did that 20 or 30 times with the entire 350 page manuscript. That level of iteration, changing it. Then my assistant Angela would bring it back again. Like I like to work on a stack of paper, go through it again, all 300 or 400 pages, iterate it, change it, add a quote, and I think that's what it takes if you want to do your best work.
I love that. I love that. And everything you do obviously there's that moment of their passion. When do you is there a moment where it's like you're just driving and you get this thought in your head for a great book and you have to pull out your phone? Is it almost like you always hear, or when I talk about artists, songwriters, where that moment hits them where they got to pull their phone and record or say something, they're going to forget it. Do you have those moments?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I have those moments, Jeff, when I have those moments.
Yeah.
And then I have these deserts of cognitive depletion. And what I mean is, I really believe in the muse, and maybe the muse is our higher power,
Yeah. Okay.
or maybe it's our instinct.
Yeah.
When we get out of the ego and listen to the muse, that's the power of nature walks. That's the power
Yeah.
of journaling. That's the power of silence. That's the power of great music. That's the power of traveling.
Yeah.
We get out of our ego, or let's go to the neuroscience, the prefrontal cortex, and we get to a deeper place of thinking. And when we get to that, the muse, or it could be our instinct, whatever term you want to call it, could be God, whatever works for you, we start to get these downloads. So when I'm in one of those seasons of creative harvest, I'll get book ideas, I'll get pages and pages and pages and pages of
I love it.
one-liners, becoming sometimes fully formed paragraphs.
Yeah.
And I'll write them down. And then, I finished the book in June, and I've been on podcasts and all that.
Can I say one quick thing? I
Sure.
love that you take pen to paper still. Everything I do is pen to paper. Everything I do is pen to paper.
Totally.
Every morning, I'm just constantly just writing notes, writing stuff. I love it. That's me. Everywhere you go, in my car, in my Jeep, at home, I just got notepads everywhere. I love that. I love that. Sorry, but I apologize for interrupting there, your thought process there.
No, it's no problem at all. It's, I've got the iPad, I've got the phone, I've got the paper, that paper. It's like an iPad that you can write on.
Yeah.
I always just default. I need to write. I'm a writer. I need to write. I can't help not write. But yes, so, I finished the book and I gave everything into the book. And then I think if you do your job well on a creative project, whether it's an app or a business or a book or a screenplay, then you should be creatively empty. Yeah. And so the past few months I've been, to confess, pretty much empty. I mean, I'm still getting ideas, and it's very easy to wonder if something's wrong. But what I've realized is if you really, I don't subscribe to the hustle and grind philosophy. I believe if you want to do your best work as an entrepreneur, a business builder, create an artist, you've got to trust the seasons. And I think sometimes you are in the harvest season, like a great farmer, and a great farmer also lets the field go fallow.
Yeah.
And in the fallow season, the ego or the mind says, "Oh, why am I not hustling and grinding? I feel guilty." But it's in the fallow season that the ideas are incubating for your next creative project. And so if you sort of just trust the seasons and push your best creativity when you're full of creativity, and then when you're empty, rest, recover, travel, read, have great conversations, think, plan, I think you're going to do amazing work and live a much more balanced life.